Hey everyone, it's Aiden from Red Rock TCG. I just wanted to go over some of the really cool reveals we got for uh, the OP17, the World's Strongest Warriors for One Piece TCG. This set is coming out in at the very end of August, so honestly not that far away, only about a month and a week or something away, or at least for pre-releases. We're very close, so I'm very excited. So in the meantime, let's check out, exactly what it is we're getting from this set, or at least that's been revealed so far. First off, we got a new gate leader. This is a little bit of old news, a little bit of new news. Uh, we got a pretty straightforward leader effect on opponent's attack. Once per turn, you may trash one card from your hand. Then up to one of your leader or character cards gains plus 4,000 power during this battle. Pretty good, Getting a rad beam every turn lets you, hold on to your board for longer. It lets you, be a more defensive mono red leader. This is in a lot of ways kind of like Shanks, where you got a free 1k counter, but here you just get to turn any card in your hand into 4k. Really, really crazy. Next up, we've got the SR that was been revealed for this deck. This is a manga rare, so it won't rotate. If your opponent has a character with 10,000 power or more, you can give this card in your hand -4 cost. So this is very much a Nell hate already. You can just hear it like a, oh man, I can play this for 6 if my Nell opponent played their 6 cost Nell. Pretty crazy. Yeah. On play, your mono-colored leader's base power becomes 8,000 until the end of your opponent's next end phase. So mono red leaders rejoice. You get a very strong defensive tool. Everybody who isn't mono red sucks to be you. Pretty tough. Obviously, there's a lot of red leaders that are multicolored that could really use this kind of effect, ranging from like something like red blue ace or red blue VV, all the way to something like red green Odin, which is a personal favorite deck of mine. They could have all really used a 6 Dawn 12k. Outside of just the new Newgate, I think OP16 Ace will really enjoy this, especially into a Nell. It basically just shuts down the deck. This is a 6/12 rusher that makes the leader an 8k. What is Enel gonna do? they this really does just shut down that matchup, and it shuts down a lot of matchups. You can play this and give it rush for 6 Dawn, then you have a lot of extra Dawn to like play another blocker like the Little Lors Jr. Um, so many good options. We also got Shanks, who could definitely use this card if they wanted to. Obviously, right now, they use that Ben Beckman to play out their 10 cost Shanks for 6 Dawn. But if you can just play out a Newgate that makes you an 8k base leader for a turn and is a 12k itself, well, you know, that's pretty good too. Speaking of Shanks, boom, green Shanks. This is probably, I would think, the best leader effect so far from the set. Very straightforward. Activate main once per turn. You may either trash one card from your hand or rest one of your Dawn cards. Then up to one of your opponent's rested characters will not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. Really straightforward, but really strong. Any rested character, doesn't matter the cost, doesn't matter the power, doesn't matter anything. As long as it's rested, Shanks stuns it. Speaking of Shanks resting and stunning things, holy, this is a 10/12 green rusher that sets 2 Dawn cards as active on play, as well as rests all the opponent's characters on play. This is like Hody Jones times 11, and you don't even have to take a life card for it. I don't know what they are thinking with this one. I think this is probably one of the strongest cards ever printed. It's Noah's Ark, except it's also a 10/12 rusher that sets 2 Dawn active. Obviously, you get to use one of those Dawn for uh, stunning one of those characters that you maybe won't be able to remove. Also, it's slash searchable, so going to be really strong in something like Mihawk. And let's be honest, this is just going to go in every green deck that can run it. Speaking of really strong, we got Yasop SR. So this is a 5/6 with 1k counter. that says on play, draw a card and rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 8 or less. Then it also says end of your turn, set up to one of your red-haired pirates type characters is active. Pretty good. This is also like I view it as a very Anel hate card since you get to draw a card and then rest the Anel. Even if they put Varie on it, they'd have to put two Varies on it to get out of this Yasop. And then you can either use a leftover Dawn or discard the card that you drew with this character to stun it. Obviously, this works on a lot of characters. 8 cost or less is pretty big margin, especially for something with two effects, right? End of turn, it also sets up to one red hair pirates type characters active. Uh, when you combine this with the leader effect, this is just an insanely strong card. So I think this could potentially see use in Mihawk, but there's and like maybe some decks like Green Bonnie can fit it in. But I think this is more of a Shanks exclusive card, even though it's not really leader locked. It might just be like less impactful in other decks. We'll have to see. Then we also got this Bonk Punchin Monster, which is a 4/3 blocker with 1k counter that KOs a rested 6 cost. So for 5 Dawn, let's say you have lying around, if your opponent had a 6 cost rusher, you get to KO it, and then you also get to stun something else. This is just really good. For 4 Dawn on a blocker, this is an effect that, we could only dream of, really. Especially on a common. Wow. This is going to be interesting in pre-release. Alright, next we have Mono Purple Kaido. This is another 5k 5 life leader with a pretty good effect. I think this is kind of like on par with Newgate. You have one attacking and on opponent's attack once per turn. Dom -1 up to one of your opponent's characters gains -2000 power during this turn. Very good on the offense, right? -2000 power to a character means that you can really swing into it. And then also on opponent's attack, it's a Dom -1 for a 2k counter, which is pretty good, especially against like any restanding, because not only is it a 2k counter, it's -2000 power. So if there's a deck that wants to restand its characters, you saved, 4k counter. Um, my one gripe with it is that I think the characters so far that that have been revealed are pretty lackluster, but we'll get into that for a second. So first we have the 10/12 blocker Kaido. So this is an SR with blocker. It has your turn once per turn. When a Dawn card from on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, add up to one Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. Then also restand a Dawn. So if you Dawn -1, you get 2 Dawn. Pretty good. My problem? It's a 10 cost. This is unless we're gonna have a lot of Kaido characters that return Dawn very often, and so then you get to do that like when they attack or when they block. So if you get to do that, I guess not when they block, but if you do that, then you get this Dawn back. Like obviously with leader effect, you're at least getting 2 Dawn, and you're giving -2. Pretty decent. But this is just a slightly souped up 5 cost kid effect from OP05. And I'd argue even in OP05, 5 cost kid was not the craziest thing ever, or especially a couple sets later. And then also the fact that his blocker basically doesn't matter because 10 cost Green Shanks exists, Yamato exists, RG Luffy exists. There's so many ways to just generically get past blockers without having to invest much into resting them specifically based on their cost that this feels very lackluster. Obviously, I think this is a lot better in Purple Black King, oddly enough, because you're specifically Dawn minusing 2 there, so you can also use the 6 cost King to get 3 Dawn, which is a lot more Dawn. Then for our second SR Kaido, that's right, 2 SR 10/12 Kaidos. We have all of your character cards without counter gain plus 1000 counter, And activate main once per turn, Don -1. If this character is played on this turn, negate the effect of up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, and then KO that character. So the first part, giving counterless character cards plus 1000 counter, he really did just steal Odin's thing and do it slightly better. Is this supposed to be lore accurate? What's going on here? Uh, but seriously, this is a pretty strong effect for most purple decks. Lots of good purple characters do not have counter on them, so you end up having to make up for that a lot. But this just gives you a lot of counter. And then the activate main is something that you can only do the turn it's played. Well, you could do it if you wanted to minus a Dawn, but has to be the first turn to actually get the KO. Obviously, negating something is something that we don't see a lot in purple. It's not even something we see a lot at all in the game. There's very few cards that negate, but a purple card that can negate and then KO is really good. So obviously, this is an NL killer. If new Kaido can ramp fast enough to get this out in response to at least the second NL that hits the board, this is already a really good card, like just straight up. But again, I feel like this is more purple black king support than it is like for any particular mono purple deck. Since in that deck, you get to Dawn -2 after playing this to give something -2 cost or to draw a card. Then you can set that Dawn active with something like the 6 cost king. Get that extra Dawn to Ice Age or Tempest Kick and negate and KO something as big as like 11 cost. Or if you have more ways of restanding Dawn, it could be even more. Uh, so as it stands for this new mono purple Kaido, because it's cost based, it feels a little weak. Because Kaido obviously wants to get things lower on power. But as it stands, still a pretty good card. Getting rid of a 6 cost or less is still good. And negating its effect means that you don't have to deal with any pesky on KOs. So you can get rid of things like 5 cost Nami without them being able to play out another character. The only thing you can't get rid of is the Loki card that's coming up. I'll show you guys in a second. So Monkey D. Luffy is a mono black leader. All of your characters with a cost of 12 or more gain blocker, which is a generic effect, but it is also pretty hard to hit 12 cost right now. That being said, we do have a pretty cool 2 cost searcher. If there's a character with a cost of 12 or more, it gains plus 3,000 power. So it gets to be a 5k swing for 2 Dawn investment, while also looking at the top 3 cards and getting you an Elbaf and trashing the rest. So very strong for setting up your graveyard, which is like the main thing that Black's doing now. And then we can also bring it back with this new 8 cost Monkey D. Luffy. It's an 8 cost 8k. If there's a character with a cost of 12 or more, this character gains Rush. And then on play, you get to draw a card and play one character with a cost of 2 or less from your trash. So you can play out that Usopp again, or you could even play something like the 2 cost Tony Chopper, which I would say are the main things. But you can get any 2 cost, so there's lots of great options. You can grab like Shirahoshi or something. It's 2 costs or less, so you can even grab like good 1 costs. The fact that it's kind of like Gecko Moria, except without the 4 cost, is a little bit crazy, honestly. Then we have Loki. This is the first secret rare we've seen from this set. Its effect is pretty interesting. It gains plus 12 cost, so it's very high in cost. It's actually a 18 cost character, not just 12. I suppose they wanted to make it so that if somebody did bring cost reduction, it wouldn't really be enough to, negate the effect. And there is a lot of ways to deal with base 6 costs. Obviously, the big one, I think, right now is the green Odin from the Zoro starter deck. But there's lots of other, like, base 6 cost hitting green cards for resting it. Or there's even, like, Ocean's Shoulder Throw to bounce it back to hand, or the world's equilibrium cannot be maintained forever to just KO it outright if you have all Celestial Dragon type characters on the field. But this is what I was talking about with this new Kaido. It doesn't negate base cost, it just negates 6 cost. So it can't deal with things like Loki. It also can't deal with an Enel that has Veri on it. Uh, Making this like it really feels like they made a new Kaido leader and then made a bunch of purple black king support for a leader that's about to rotate. So our last leader for today is Charlotte Linlin, mono yellow 5 life 5k power leader. When attacking, you may discard one card from your hand. Your opponent chooses one. Discard one card from your hand, then add up to one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. Or you trash a card from your opponent's hand. And it's not their choice by the looks of the wording. It looks like it's like scam law, where you get to pick. I think this, just on its own, is a pretty strong leader effect, but has a lot of ways for your opponent to play around it, allowing them to have the choice of whether they want one less card in hand or they want you to have one more life and two less cards in hand is more balanced than it sounds at first. And a really good really good player will not find this leader effect very intimidating at all. They'll be just like Jinbei. They'll be going, why would I fear a mere emperor of the sea? You know? So that being said, I think the support will make this deck very scary. As you can see, we got a 10 cost 12k Charlotte Linlin. It has your turn. All of your characters with 4,000 base power and a trigger become 8,000 base power. Very huge power difference. But it has to specifically be 4,000. Then it also has an on play on top of that, and a pretty good on play. You draw one card, and then you get to choose one. You either add a card from the top of your deck to the top of your life, or you get to add one of your opponent's life cards to their hand. It is your choice, and you are drawing a card while you do this. So I think it's pretty likely that a lot of these 4K base power characters also draw cards when they get played or when they get triggered to make them to help offset the cost of the leader effect. Or maybe it's just this one that draws the card because this is your like this is where you start recovering. You get to heal for free, you get to draw a card. You get to keep like gaining resources by keep playing these 10 cost Linlins. I think this is also going to be good in Charlotte Pudding, another OP08 leader that's going to rotate pretty soon. But still, very interesting support for all of these decks. And so that's all the reveals so far as of the time of recording. I'm pretty excited for this, although it does feel like this is like even more power creepy than like OP13 was, which is a very power creep like set. We're getting a lot of leaders who just turn off the kind of things that older leaders used to do, which we've been getting a lot of recently, like Anel and even Nami at this point, just kind of get to ignore what their opponent's doing a lot of the time, unless it specifically counters the one thing that they want to do the most. But at the same time, I'm very excited for this set. I think there's a lot of cool characters and leaders. Uh, I'm excited to see where the meta ends up going. I think it could be really cool. So, there you have it. Can't wait for more reveals and to talk to you guys again.